In this video, I want to talk about learning Hindi as a non-Indian, as a Westerner. Um, to give you a bit of a background, I'm not actually a linguist. Called a philologist, which is, mix of linguistics and literature. But let's say I've got a deep background in linguistics, and I first learned many different languages before learning Hindi, so I was already quite prepared. And the languages that I learned were basically only Romance and Germanic languages, specifically German, Dutch, English, and then French, Italian, and Spanish up to good levels. All of them B2 or C1 or to even almost C2. And then there was Portuguese, which I learned up to a level B1, but I didn't really use much anymore, so I started forgetting. But that's basically like the background that I had. And then a couple of years ago, like almost 4 years ago, I decided to go to India to learn from a spiritual master. And yeah, so they basically told me to start learning Hindi, because in India it's not so that everyone speaks Hindi as a mother tongue, but it's still, especially in the north, like or in the west of India, like there's a lot of languages that are close to Hindi, and then most people there speak Hindi as a second language, and there's also many people that speak Hindi as a first language. So the thing is, I took up learning Hindi first with a course called Assimil, which is a French course. It was from French. It could also be that it's from English to Hindi, but I haven't heard about it yet. But so basically, that course is a course that includes dialogues, grammar, a bit of the writing, also the Devanagari script, and I mean, there's quite a lot of repetition. There's pronunciation. It's a bit of everything, and that method I used to use it in the past for example, Portuguese. I used it, and it actually brings you to a decent level normally, but it's based on assimilating, the principle of assimilating. And what does assimilating mean? It means that you have like basically a knowledge base that you already have, and then there's a new thing that's being added onto it. But since it has a lot of points in common, you can basically like there's point A here and then point A in the new language, and very often you can like draw the lines and connect the things. But you could actually not do that for Hindi, because Hindi is even though it's Indo-European, it's very different from all the other languages that I learned before. Like, even though there are some similarities, it's really quite, like, for example, there's the word name is naam, which is, for example, in Dutch it's the same word, or the word hand is like hart, which is also like, I mean, if you just put in an N, like in linguistics, very often there's an N that disappears or that an N that appears. So, if you know a little bit about linguistics, there's some things that are similar, or some words, for example. There's in Spanish the word for house is casa, but there's also a word called hogar, and in Hindi the word for house is ghar. And then even though they were not related, hogar and ghar, like for me it was something, okay, well, I can actually connect it to that. But all in all, the language is really, really difficult, not just because it's grammatically and genetically there are quite a few differences, but it's mainly because of a few other things. And the things that I feel are the most important are, one, you have very little clear and good resources. Like, it's very, even now it's very difficult to find it, to find good resources. And the second thing is that Hindi does not really exist as a language the way that, for example, French or German, but let's say French in France does. Like, there's not really a standard language that is being spoken in the way that, for example, German and French are being spoken. Why is that? Because Hindi is, there's so many varieties, and then there's Urdu, which is basically like, it's basically the same language as Hindi, but it's the, let's, to keep it simple, Hindi is for the Hinduists, and Urdu is basically Hindi for the Muslims, and they use a few other words, but the language is basically the same. And so then there's basically like there's Hindu words that they use, and there's Urdu words that they use. Then sometimes there's some more like advanced like Sanskrit words that are being used, and then there's a lot of English. And the mix of Hindi and English is called Hinglish, and that's actually what most people in cities speak. And if you watch like episodes of like modern Hindi TV series, then very often what you will hear is Hinglish. And the thing is that Hinglish is not like a universal, doesn't have a universal standard. Like, some people use even more English. Sometimes people use fewer English words, and so that is why you actually have to learn very often like basically 3 words, like the Hindi word, the Urdu word, then also the English word, which if you speak English well you will already know. But the thing is, in some words of like pure Hindi are hardly ever used in the English, or even the Hindi that's a bit more pure, because they're like too ancient, too cultured, and sometimes, you know, you basically have to use the English word and sometimes not. Like, there's no clear rules for that. And that's why I think I spent, I mean, it's difficult to say how many hours I spent learning Hindi, because it didn't go like straight. Now it's 2026. I started learning in 2023, and I learned just like 20 minutes a day, and sometimes I did like an hour and a half a day, and sometimes I did nothing for 8-9 months. Like, I haven't really been consistent at all. In the past, I used to be very consistent when I was learning a language, because I wanted to get to very high levels. And to be frank, like, the languages that I learned were always very easy. They were always very related to the ones I already knew, so it was not that difficult. But before I continue, I have to say that I haven't really been learning Hindi seriously like I was before, because before I was learning languages to a professional level, and now it's like it's not like I have level 0 or anything like that. I have a like upper beginner to like lower intermediate level, you could say. But I haven't really been consistent, and I feel that that is a reason why it's taking very long. It's not just the difficulty of the language itself, or the resources, or the fact that Hindi as a language doesn't really exist or isn't really spoken as such. It's just a mix of all kinds of things. But the consistency is definitely also a thing. And I still want to continue to learn Hindi, because even though I'm not in India anymore right now, you know, I've got my girlfriend who's from India, and so with her family, I often speak a little bit of Hindi, or I hear a little bit of Hindi. So, well, let's see where I'm at, and then I'll just give you a bit of an overview of what I have done to get to this level, and what my plans might be for the future. Because now I'm not really learning that actively, because there's other priorities that I have. But I just wanted to share with you this these insights that I've gathered so far, and where I've come, and yeah, what I've done, how long it's taken, what has worked, what has not, and that is specifically for a person that has learned many languages in the past up to high levels. So yeah, I mean, I actually think that for all those 6 languages that I mentioned in the beginning, I've come to a C1 level at some point, but then by using them less, I I got a bit less, but like for actually, I mean, my English is clearly at least C1, but then like there are 2 more languages where I have official C1 certificates for, and then another where I did a C1 course, but it was without a certificate. But um, just that is my background, and having that background, you would think that learning Hindi would maybe not be that difficult, but it's I mean it's pretty damn difficult. It's but let's see where I'm at. So Abhi, so let's just for the ones that don't speak Hindi yet, I'll just try and speak a little bit. I don't really know what I'm gonna say, um, but yeah, let's see what I can do. तो मेरा नाम थॉमस है, मैं बेल्जियम से हूँ और मैं अभी भाग में हूँ। मौसम बहुत अच्छा है और तो मैं 1.5 साल के लिए भारत में था। और मैं भारत में था क्योंकि मैं सेवा कर रहा था एक गुरु के साथ। और गुरु ने कहा कि हाँ, तो हिंदी की ज़रूरत है भारत में, तो इसलिए आपको हिंदी सीखना है, क्योंकि लोगों लोगों को लगता है कि बहुत सारे भारतीय लोग हैं जो अम, अंग्रेज़ी बोलते हैं, लेकिन बहुत अक्सर ऐसे नहीं है। तो मैं उदाहरण के लिए गोवा में रहता था, और गोवा में बहुत सारे लोग इंग्लिश बोलते हैं, लेकिन तो नॉर्थ में बहुत कम लोग हैं जो अच्छे से अंग्रेज़ी बोलते हैं। तो मेरे लिए तो ग्रामर मुश्किल है, क्योंकि अम, अच्छी ग्रामर बुक्स ढूंढना बहुत मुश्किल है हिंदी के लिए। और मैं भी तो अभी तक मैंने सिर्फ 5 या 6 क्लासेस लिए। आई एम नॉट श्योर दैट्स करेक्ट। और तो इसलिए मेरा ग्रामर अभी तक इतना अच्छा नहीं है, लेकिन जब मैं भारत में हूँ और जब मैं भारतीय लोग के साथ बात कर सकता हूँ, तो आमतौर पे नॉर्मली मैं लोगों के साथ बोल सकता हूँ, तो समझना मेरे लिए मुश्किल है। नॉर्मली तो नई भाषा के साथ तो समझना इतना मुश्किल नहीं है, लेकिन बोलना मुश्किल है। लेकिन हिंदी के लिए मेरे लिए अलग है। मेरे लिए तो बोलना इतना मुश्किल नहीं है, लेकिन समझना मुश्किल है, क्योंकि हिंदी में इतने सारे वर्ड्स हैं। तो फ़ोन का प्रॉब्लम हुआ, तो मैं फिर से हिंदी में बात करूँगा। तो मैं बोल रहा था कि एक्चुअली मुझे नहीं पता क्या बोल रहा था। लेकिन मेरे ख्याल से आप लोग देख सकते हैं कि मेरी मेरी हिंदी तो इतनी अच्छी नहीं है, लेकिन अम, इतनी बुरी भी नहीं है। लेकिन आपको स्पष्ट होगा कि आपको क्लियर होगा कि ग्रामर मेरे लिए थोड़ा सा मुश्किल है, और भी मेरा मेरा वोकेबलरी इतना एक्सटेंसिव नहीं है। तो मैं बहुत अक्सर अंग्रेज़ी शब्द का उपयोग करता हूँ, का इस्तेमाल करता हूँ, मुझे नहीं पता। और हाँ, so yeah, that was a quick demonstration of where I'm at now. For Hindi, it's difficult to say which level it is exactly, Um, it is at least an A2 level, even though there will be some grammar aspects that I'm still missing that would be part of what is normally called an A2. But the thing is, this is like an upper beginner, like lower intermediate to sometimes even intermediate level. But this is definitely not an advanced level. Like, if I have to, listen to Hindi speakers and actually have a conversation with them, I really have to ask them to speak clearly and sometimes also speak a bit more slowly, or it really depends on like the accent of the person, also, like depending on the age, depending on the region, depending on whether they use more English words or more like dialect characteristics and all. I can understand more or less. But yeah, so that was basically my level. Now let's continue with what I have done to get to this level, because that's basically what this video is about. So what I've done is, in the beginning I did this assimil course. Then I noticed that even though it works very well for European languages, if that language is a language that it's close to, because for example for Russian, I still have to see, because I want to learn Russian at some point. Will it work for Russian? Russian is definitely closer to, for example, German, but Russian is not that close to German. But Hindi, I mean, it's a lot further from for example, German than Russian, in at least from my perspective. So, but for Russian, you do have a clear standard language from what I have picked up, which is not the case for Hindi, which is just like, it's just complete chaos. It's a little bit like when you first enter India, it's just crazy, like how much of a chaos India is. So there's also many different cultures within India, many different languages, many different gods that are being venerated and all. Like it's really a special place to visit, and if you've never been, like, it's gonna be quite an experience if you get there for the first time. So yeah, but let's see, what did I do? So basically, what did I do to learn Hindi? It's a little bit of mix of many different things. I did the assimil course, and the assimil course is it did help me to some extent, but when I came to a certain point, it was like, it's going too fast, it's too random, it's too much happening. I need to do something else. And then I just started like exposing myself to the language, like listening a lot. It was in 2023 when AI was still at beginning, so I was just listening to like podcasts for Hindi, which helped a little bit. In the beginning, also, I was focusing a lot on pronunciation, which is always the first thing that I do. Focus on pronunciation, because pronunciation is very important. Like, as you might have heard from my Hindi, it does not sound like I don't sound like a native, definitely not, but it does not sound like I just pronounce it the way I do it for English, for example. Like, the pronunciation is very different. The pronunciation coming from my mouth, because I actually practiced the sounds. Like, usually before I start like really learning a language, what I do is I listen to the sounds of the language, like just like for a week or 2 weeks before I even start learning a language. I just listen to the sounds and I try and focus on the new sounds, which normally for new language, if you've been going for quite a while, there are usually not that many new sounds, maybe like 1, 2, 3, 4. But for for Hindi, there were like at least 12 new sounds for me, which is quite extreme. Like, so I mean, that means that I had to practice a lot, and I'm still not perfect at it, but I'm close enough to where I can actually, people can also understand me, because there's, for example, in Hindi, there's four different T's, there is four different N's, even though one or two of them are hardly ever used, but still, four different N's, four different T's. The four different T's are used constantly. Four different D's, um, three different S's. I mean, it's just crazy. Like how many different things. Then there's like a special R kind of thing. There's like a, I mean, it's quite a thing. Different P's, different B's. It's quite crazy. So um, that is one of the first things. Then yeah, a lot of exposure. Just a lot of exposure. Like once AI started to take off a little bit in 2024, when it started to get better, there are AI apps where you can talk to the AI and ask it to correct you and all. And then ChatGPT started to become better also at speaking, at having conversations, and the Hindi level started going up, so you could have conversations with ChatGPT. But then usually that was a very ancient, pure Hindi that was actually not spoken, and then I would learn words and then I would use them in real life, and people would say like, I don't even know the meaning of that word. So it's yeah, it's quite a challenge. And then at some point I started watching like children like TV series, and just try and get the context. And then basically what I started doing then was just like every word that is new, just look it up. And then at some point I also bought a grammar book, I think it was, let me see. Yeah, the camera cut again, I see. So yeah, the book that I was talking about is called Essential Hindi Grammar, with examples from modern Hindi literature, by Christine Evrard. So it's basically yeah, the essential grammar I did learn from that book, and then I just, whenever there was a structure that I didn't understand, I tried to like look it up on like ChatGPT, and then see if I could get some insight into how I have to use it. And then at some point, as I got a little bit better, I started watching Netflix series. Just like, I mean, I watched maybe like 20 episodes or something, but then every time that I was watching an episode, I was looking up some words. And then recently, I started watching a Hindi serial, an actual Hindi, because on Netflix, in the beginning, I was watching like an actual TV series in Hindi, but then there was so many colloquial, like other languages being used, and it was like, nah, that's not gonna work for me. It's too much. And then I watched dubbed series, like 20 episodes or something, and then I started watching, like recently watching a Hindi serial, and I watched like 30 episodes or something, and I looked up some words. So that's basically what I did. And so I didn't do it consistently, because I did it spread out over like 3.5 years. And honestly, most of the time, I'm not learning Hindi. They're like sometimes 4 or 5 months, even once it was even longer, where I did nothing of Hindi. But here and there, since now I got family ties with India, I do a little bit when I feel like it, watching some Hindi serial, looking up some words, or when I'm with my girlfriend's family, I ask for, hey, what does that word mean? A little bit like that, and slowly, I learn the language. And now I've actually come to the point where I feel that if I would consistently learn Hindi with the serials, and maybe do a bit of grammar once per week, maybe even with a teacher, I think I could get to a B2 level under a year now. But yeah, it's just at this point in my life, there are the things that I'm focusing on, so it's not really my priority. But yeah, it's just something that you've seen now with the introduction. I mean, the let's say the demonstration. If if you know some little bit of Hindi, you probably noticed that my Hindi is not like just "Mera naam Thomas hai." No, it's like it's starting to be a level where I can actually have conversations, but it's just still very limited, like when it comes to the flow, let's say. And Yeah, it's just because Hindi is such a rich language because of the Hindi, Urdu, Sanskrit. It's such a rich language, so many different dialects that you really need such a crazy big vocabulary to be able to just understand what people are saying. And that's the first time ever that I encountered something like that. It's like yeah, in English, like there's the word sad, and that is it. It's sad. But then in Hindi, there's for example, there's the word udas, but then there's also like the just the word sad, right? मैं sad हूँ, because and then you very often hear the word sad, but then that's actually just English that people are using in Hinglish, which is actually the Hindi that is spoken is usually English and not actually pure Hindi. So that's what makes it very, very difficult. Like if you want to, because at the same time, it's like if you're constantly like, let's say for example, you're constantly hearing the word book, but then there's also a word called pustak, which is the Hindi word. Then there's the word kitab, which is the Urdu word. Like in English, a book is a book. There's no other word for a book. A book is a book. But in Hindi, you have like book, you have kitab, you have pustak. It's just crazy. Like you really need to learn like I mean English already is a very very rich language. As the most. I mean I always heard that English has the most words, but since in Hindi they use English words as well, and then of course Hindi words, and then some Sanskrit words, and then some Urdu words. Because of all that, I mean, Hindi from language that I learned is so incredibly rich when it comes to all the words that can be used that it takes an incredibly long time to learn. And if I now have to make a calculation of how many hours that I spent somewhat actively learning Hindi, because I also when I was in India, sometimes I heard people speaking, but if you have like basically almost level zero and you hear people speaking in Hindi at normal speed, you don't understand anything except for maybe one or two words. So that doesn't really count as quality, like understandable, or what is it called, comprehensive input. So yeah, I think that it would probably be around 500 hours for Hindi, spread out over the 3.5 years, which is actually still quite a lot. Like if let's say it's 3 years, right, and we say like, well, 3 years is like, what is it, like 1,100 days almost. Let's say it's to just round it down, it's one thousand days. Then 500 hours means half an hour per day. That is a lot, actually. But I think that is almost what I did, even though sometimes I did nothing for 5 months. But then there were also like a few moments, like initially, where I did like 2 hours a day, 3 hours a day, or just like an hour a day for some consistent time. So I think, yeah, I think probably close to 500, could be 400, but I think that's probably going to be more or less the range. And if I look at other languages that I learned, like with 500 hours, I was almost C1 in some languages that were very close. But with Hindi, like I'm hardly B1 after that amount of hours. Even though yes, it's true, I spread it out over more time. I've not really been doing it that consistently, nor do I really plan to do it consistently moving forward, because there's just it's just not my priority. Like I learned that you can really only have, I mean, or at least I'll speak for myself. I can only really have one priority for one aspect of my life. When it comes to learning, I can just have basically one priority. When it comes to like physical training, I just go to the gym, but I don't do all the other things. Um, when it comes to work, like I'm really not able to focus on like four different projects in the same area at the same time. And now, as since I'm still learning some things from my work now, um, like learning Hindi as a discipline for now, I feel it's too demanding. Because that's also the thing you will have to realize when you're learning Hindi or any other difficult language, or maybe if you're new to language learning altogether, if it's the first time that you're learning languages, you have to be aware that um, it can be very taxing, like on your mind. Like beginning, like for me when I was learning Hindi, it was so taxing. Whereas now, actually, I can like watch a serial for like actually 2 hours and just look up words, and it's not like I'm fully drained. But in the beginning, when I was trying to do 2 hours, I was just like, it was so exhausting mentally. And that's the thing, like at some point now, Hindi, even though I don't speak it that well, there's like a sort of a structure that's now in my system, and I can always come back to it, and it starts to become more familiar. It's not as foreign anymore. Like even now this weekend, there was like a family gathering where there was a lot of Hindi being spoken, and I guess it was actually the first time, because in the last few weeks, I watched like, yeah, like 20, 30 episodes of serials, so my Hindi got a lot better. And I was finally like able to get a lot more jokes and to actually participate in conversations, even though, every 20 seconds there was a word or two, or sometimes even more, that I couldn't understand. But still, I was starting to feel like, whoa, I actually can understand this language to some extent. I can actually speak it to some extent, which is quite fascinating and quite cool to do it for such a difficult language. And then considering that Hindi is actually still an easy language, linguistically speaking, because it's still Indo-European, then imagine if you learn a language from a different language branch that has bad resources. If the language has good resources, then I think it could be easier to learn than Hindi, because Hindi, like the resources that you have are really poor. Even though Hindi is a very big language, like the resources, I mean, maybe now in 2026 are a bit better, but they were in 2023, they were just fucking terrible. It's crazy. And then also the fact that, when you're a foreigner, people want to speak English to you. People are also not really proud of speaking Hindi. They want to show that they can speak English very often. So all those elements make Hindi a incredibly difficult language to learn, honestly. And I think the only way to learn it is to, yeah, I think at some point you need to be disciplined a little bit. Now I've come to the stage where, I can just like not do anything for 3 months and then be somewhat disciplined for a month. And then I will make like a small jump, and then I don't do anything again for like 4 months. But still, if there's a certain concept that you get, that you really understand, then you don't really forget it. Like even though it might not be top of mind anymore, if you come back to the language, it will come back to you. So that is just what I wanted to say about learning Hindi. If you have any specific questions, you can definitely ask me. Is it worth it to learn Hindi? The thing is, for me, definitely yes, because I hear it quite often with my girlfriend's family, and we will probably also go to India, from time to time. So it's not like for me it's a waste. But if you don't have any ties with India, and you're just like a bit of like a polyglot learner, like I used to be, I mean, yes, it can definitely be worth it if you like it. But if it's just like a language on your list, like I have to learn this language, I mean, it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be easy. But if you really love to do it, like in the beginning, I must be honest, I didn't really like Hindi that much. It was just because the spiritual master said, well, you're doing service in India, go and learn Hindi, and that's why I started doing it. Otherwise, I don't know if I would have done it, because quite often when I was in India, I was in areas where people still spoke English. And if if there were quite a few people that were not speaking English, you could still ask like, "Hey, is there a person that speaks English?" And usually you could still find one. But in some areas in India, like forget about it. There's just no English at all. Like even in like hotels and tourist places, like sometimes it's just like almost no English. It's crazy. I mean, it's crazy for us. It seems as Westerners, it seems like everyone speaks English, but that's not the case at all. There are many people in the world that don't speak English. Just know that. For example, I've also been to Turkey quite a few times. Turkey, forget about it. Like, not many people speak English in Turkey, and yeah. But yeah, just send me questions if you have some, and I'll see if I can maybe help you with something that I learned. And yeah, I mean, just enjoy it. If you enjoy learning languages, like for me, I feel so called to learn Russian, and if at some point I start, it's just gonna be enjoyment. And now with Hindi, actually, because I can start to actually use it, I can start to watch serials, and I actually always get the gist, but not always all the details. Definitely not, but I get the gist. I look up some words and I understand even more. Then, I mean, it starts to be fun. But it was. I had to go through quite a struggle, which I have never encountered before with language. For me, language learning was always like boom, like this, very fast. Like going to B2 was super fast, and then after B2, sometimes it went a little bit slower. But like going to B2 was just so easy. But with Hindi, it's not the case at all. So yeah, just good luck and try to enjoy it. Like if you can, just maybe like watch a serial that you like and watch it in dubbed Hindi, or watch a Hindi serial that you like and go for English subtitles or whatever. Like try and enjoy it, and that's gonna make it just way more productive, and you're gonna be way more likely to actually keep going, because this is learning Hindi is not a sprint; it's a marathon. So yeah, uh, just enjoy it.